Welcome to this introduction to LodeStar. The version of LodeStar that we're using is LodeStar 9 Build 25. LodeStar offers a variety of templates. We're going to select the most versatile template activity maker for our project. Our project will be essentially a presentation followed by a series of questions. So we call this strategy present and check. Very basic. To create a project, I double click on the template, give it a project name. Now LodeStar will create a folder with this name, but it'll replace spaces with underscores. And it'll place all the ingredients to run the project in that folder. We now have page 1 of 1. This page is a text type page. LodeStar offers a variety of page types. So you can see, we have crosswords and flashcards, and so forth, but we're using a text page for our title page. So we'll put in a page ID. It's always a great idea to fill in a page ID. It serves two purposes. Later, when we do a little scripting or when we do a branching, we can refer to this page ID, and also it's the thing that appears in a table of contents if we choose to have table of contents. I can simply type in a title, and I could format that title. So we can use text. I can also use an SVG graphic. I'll select SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic. I can size my text. Always fit the content. That reduces the canvas size, but maintains the margin. Save to page. I'll click on this graphic again, and I'll choose a percentage rather than a fixed width and fixed height. I'll choose a percentage, and that's good for responsiveness. If we use a mobile device to see this project, everything will behave and resize appropriately. We're done. We simply had a page ID and we put in an SVG graphic. Down below, I have the ability to add a page. If I just keep my mouse still, you can see add a page, delete this page. This gives us a little more real estate. When we have more than one page, we can move backwards and forwards, and this allows us to save a page, or excuse me, save the project. I'll add a page. The page type is text because the preceding page type was text. We can always change that, but for this, what we want to do is add some instructions. I'll do that. And I'll go ahead and make that into a heading. So here we'll supply a strategy, and the learner has to select the right principle of learning. If I wanted to, I could add a graphic. To add imagery, graphics, I'll select the image tool and get image. So I'll go ahead and open that up. Now, if this were an animated GIF, I would answer no. Essentially, it's asking me, do I want to optimize the image size? Yes, I want to optimize this image. I kind of want to, and then, but if this were an animated graphic, I would not, because it would affect the animation. Now we'll just select 10%. And I'll put in an alt tag. Here I'll just say decorative icon. So we know what this image is. This would be exposed to a screen reader for visually disabled learner, for example. I'll select OK. And I have the opportunity of just aligning this to the left, and then the text will wrap around. Add a page. Let's go back. I forgot to put in a page ID. Let's do that. Now on this page, I'd like to change the page type to video and insert a video. So I'll select the page type and select video. Now I'll go off and find a video. So I'll go to YouTube and I'll search for a video on how learning works, principles. And there's a variety of videos here that I can use. Let's not be picky. I'll choose this one. The critical part to this is capturing this URL in the address bar. I'll copy that, go to my video page, and paste that in. The thing to be careful of is sometimes when you paste in a URL, it also includes t equals and some time. That will cause the video to start wherever time equals. So you need to be a little careful of that. So here we can see that we have v equals, and then this is just the ID of the video. I'll add a page, and that gives me another. My mouse is very hyperactive, so I will delete the extra page. So here we have our video that we just created. Here's the new page that we added. We'll change the page type to multiple choice. And there we go. I'll put in a question stem. So this question is, what principle most closely relates to these strategies? Administer a diagnostic assessment, have trainees assess the knowledge they bring to the training event. And we can choose these basic principles as our answer options. I'll put in, so this relates to prior knowledge, this relates to organization of knowledge. This relates to motivation. And then finally, This relates to component skills and practicing integrating component skills. So because this relates to diagnostic assessment and having them assess their knowledge before the training event, this all is about prior knowledge. So I'll select the right answer by, this is the right answer option or distractor, and I'll simply check the correct box here. I'll give this question a point value. Let's give it 2 points. So far I've only put in a question stem, each of the answer options or distractors, a point value. I need to put in my page ID. Now the next thing relates to branch options. An example of a branch option might be providing feedback. So we have a branch option that matches the first distractor, the second distractor, and so forth. We have branch options, so if we didn't want to give specific feedback related to each of these answer options, we could give general feedback related to the correct answer. If they answered correctly, we'd give them feedback. Or if they answered incorrectly, we'd give them this feedback. This branch option relates to when the page first shows. It can execute a script or do something as a result of the page showing. The most simple branch option, as I mentioned, is just providing feedback. We can show feedback. And save that. But for the wrong answers, it could be a little more helpful. So this is actually nonsense, but the point is that we want to provide some feedback specific to what they answered. And then we could do the same for motivation and for integrating component skills, very specific feedback that helps them kind of helps them with their mistake. We're done with that. So we could simply add a page and then continue along those lines. We could continue to ask questions. And here I could save myself some time. So I'll delete this page and I will duplicate this page and then replace all of this. So I'll just add a new question stem, but keep all of my distractors because they're the same. I can randomize my distractors, and I could do that on the previous page as well. Kind of mix everything up. Now, I copy and paste it, and I put in these. You can see there are these bold tags. So the way a bold tag works, so this particular question stem is now bolded. We have an angle bracket B, angle bracket, that's the beginning bold. And then we have an angle bracket slash / B, angle bracket, and that's the end of the bold. We could bold a single word by just wrapping that in the bold tags. Now this is required for this page type, but as I'll show you now, we can use a widget where you do not have to add this markup. Let's see what we have so far. Let's just preview in our browsers. If this doesn't work for you, if it doesn't kick up in your browser, it means your default browser isn't starting correctly. That's the typical problem there. So here's our title, here's our instructions, and then we have our video. Our video automatically pauses when we move on. Here's our question stem. This one's not bolded. These have all been randomized or jumbled up. I'll choose the right one, and you can see that I get my feedback for that. And then I never indicated the right answer for this. So let's go back and fix that. See, we have no right answer here. So what principle most closely relates to these strategies? Connect the material to trainees' interest, provide authentic real-world tasks, identify an appropriate level of challenge. That all relates to motivation. And again, we can put in all of our feedback in these branch options. Now what I'd like to do is actually show you the same question, but in a multiple choice widget. So let's see how that works. I'll add a page, and I'll change this page type to text. All of our widgets go on text pages. So here's a blank text page, and now I can select, insert the activity widget, select multiple choice, and then I'll put in the same question here, or maybe I'll change that up a little bit. Let's do a different question. Now I'll remove that bold. I don't need that. If I wanted it to be bold, I would just highlight this and bold it. Can also change the font. So here I've chosen an Arial 12-point font. So what principle most closely relates to these strategies? Develop a skeletal outline or template for related. We're missing something here. So develop a skeletal outline or template related to the new knowledge, create a concept map, show information, and compare contrast analysis. And that relates to organization. We're going to put in a point value, 2. And here we're going to add our distractors. So this question widget has a component that's very, very common in the authoring tool. And this is a pagination component. So we have our first distractor. Let's just put in prior knowledge. And we can put in feedback here. And this is incorrect. And we can indicate that it's incorrect by selecting no. Then the next, we'll hit the plus sign, and that adds, now we have 2 distractors. Organization is the second, and we can indicate that's correct. Could also provide feedback related to that. I'll hit the plus. Motivation, that's incorrect. Plus. Indicate that it's incorrect. And finally, you can randomize. And we can make this multiple choice. There's only one right answer. versus a multiple select. So we've got all of our pieces now. We could, if you did the correct answer, we could give you overall feedback here. If you did the incorrect answer, it could provide overall feedback right here as well. So and we'll go ahead and so we have our 5 distractors. Again, our question stem is here, our distractors are here. We were able to add and delete distractors with this. We're able to reorder distractors with these. We're able to navigate to distractors with these buttons. Before I preview, I'm going to add a page, and I'll change the page type to a report, because we want this whole thing to be able to report to a learning management system. And before we export, let's just go ahead and preview our work. And there we have our question. This is the widget now. So what principle? I'll do something incorrectly here. And you can see that our overall feedback for incorrect answer came up. But also if we had specific feedback, that would appear right below. And then we move on. So this is our report page. This is now attempting to communicate to the learning management system. So it requested confirmation, got confirmation, and realized that it's not connected to a learning management system. But if you had exported and brought this into Moodle, Blackboard, Desire to Learn, Prolera, whatever, this would all work. You would request a confirmation, get a confirmation, and the score would be reported back. So the score that the learning management received would be reported back to the student. Finally, incidentally, if you wanted to add any kind of comment, you could do that here on the report page as well. We're going to provide our report page with an ID. And sometimes it's a good idea to terminate after the report. That means communication. So you can no longer have an activity that communicates to the learning management system after you terminate. But some learning management systems do require you to terminate before the score gets transferred into the grade book. So if you find that your scores are not getting into a grade book, if you have a learning management system, just terminate. But recognize that's the end. Then you don't want to engage the learner in any further activity. Finally, we're going to export. And that's getting it ready for a learning management system. The default is SCORM 1.3. That's the recommended. I'll put in module name, a topic, and then I'll just put in my initials. Click on Create Export. And now the exported project will be found here. It'll be found in the LodeStar folder under Exports, and then the name of the project .zip. We simply take that zip file and import it into a learning management system, and it it'll know what to do with this, because this essentially follows a content packaging standard. So that concludes our introduction to LodeStar, to the Activity Maker template, and to this specific strategy, very simple strategy called present and check. Thank you.